You'll crawl back. You always do, my toxic friend Jessica said when I cut contact. She was right about the crawling part, just not about who would be doing it. I'm Maya, 30 years old, female, and my hands are literally shaking as I type this on my kitchen counter. The same counter where a chipped green mug sits with a hairline crack Jessica made and swore was already there. Jessica, 29 years old, female, was, my best friend since we were 19, and stupid enough to think matching tattoos meant loyalty. Hers is a clean infinity loop on her wrist. Mine looks like it wanted to escape midway through, and honestly, same. We met during orientation at DePaul. She bulldozed into my life with a hug that lasted too long and a compliment that felt like a dare. She called me soft, like it was praise and diagnosis at once. I called her feral, like a joke. We spent nights on rooftops drinking warm wine out of paper cups, promising to become big city girls with big city lives. She liked to say, I pull the door open and you slip us in. I was her halo when she wanted to look good, and her cushion when she inevitably crashed. Liam, 31 years old, male, my boyfriend of the past 2 years, said early on that Jessica was the kind of friend who narrates your generosity for applause. People like her keep score, he warned. He noticed things I trained myself not to. How she borrowed my white wrap dress and returned it with red lip stain on the collar, then told everyone at a party that I'd never wear it as well as she did anyway. How my stories became her anecdotes with my name cropped out. How every favor for Jessica came with a sequel favor, like a Marvel universe of errands. Eric, 33 years old, male, is Jessica's on-again, off-again husband. He's this quiet Midwestern boy who blushes when he says beer. Jessica collects his apologies like enamel pins. I liked Eric because he seemed like a walking fridge magnet that says, please be kind. But when he tried to get real, tried to tell me once that Jessica was sleeping on couches, not at networking events, he clammed up the second she walked back from the bathroom, eyes shiny, smile taut as a violin string. We're good, she said, and he nodded like a man who'd decided breathing was optional. Nora, 27 years old, female, my younger sister, is my opposite. Blunt as a hammer, always in combat boots. She keeps a running list called Reasons Maya Needs Boundaries in her notes app. Most entries are Jessica-shaped. The day after your mom's surgery and Jess still dragged you to that pop-up sale, she wrote. Girl? Nora never liked Jessica, but she knows how the hooks go in. Slow, slick, painless until there's blood. Red flags showed up disguised as confetti. Jessica, accidentally, posted my private journal line on her Insta story. I love him, but I can feel myself shrinking. Then told me it was good for engagement. She forgot to Venmo me for the festival wristbands and took pictures on my camera, then boxed it with sand in the lens cap. Once, when we fought about her leaving my apartment like a crime scene, wine ring on the coffee table, the fox figurine my mom gave me shattered. She punched the cabinet door so hard the hinge screamed and the mug chipped. That mug was ugly, she said, rubbing her knuckles like the cabinet had offended her. You're welcome. The last straw was small and humiliating. A brunch at some place with grapefruit mimosas and scrambled eggs so soft they felt like apologies. She told a table of people, her friends, not mine, about the time I called her sobbing because Liam hadn't texted back for 6 hours. She mimed my crying voice. They laughed. I laughed too, that horrible laugh where your cheeks ache and your heart bruises. Under the table, I dug my nail into my palm and watched a bead of blood appear, bright and stupid. That's how it felt to keep choosing her, a private wound under the tablecloth. I blocked her that night. Every number, every account. I packed her sweatshirt into a grocery bag and left it by her door with the key. The next morning, she was waiting on my stoop like a stray cat, eyes huge, hair perfect. You'll crawl back, she said, voice flat, like she was reciting a weather report. You always do. I closed the door and slid the deadbolt, heart hammering in my throat like it was trying to escape. Here's the thing. She was right about the crawling part, just not about who would be doing it. The first week without Jessica was both terrifying and euphoric. I didn't realize how much background noise she generated in my life until it went silent. No late-night calls about how her Uber driver creeped her out. No 3 a.m. door pounding because she'd lost her keys. No endless texts where she turned every minor inconvenience into a war story. For once, my apartment stayed clean, my dishes were where I left them, and my sleep wasn't shattered by her chaos. But silence doesn't last long when Jessica feels ignored. Day 3, she started with emails. Long, rambling ones that bounced between apologies and accusations. I know you think you're better off without me, but you'll regret it. People always regret leaving me. Day 5, she escalated. I came home from work and found the grocery bag I'd left with her sweatshirt and key ripped open, clothes scattered across my stoop like roadkill. My doormat was missing. Who even steals a doormat? Day 6, Liam noticed. He was brushing his teeth in my bathroom when his phone pinged. Jessica had messaged him. Your girlfriend's unstable. She's isolating herself. You should ask what she's hiding. The worst part? She attached screenshots, private texts I'd sent her years ago, in my worst heartbreak. He hasn't texted me in 6 hours and I feel like I'm disappearing. She sent them to my boyfriend. Out of context, like poison, Liam confronted me, not angrily, but with this look, like he'd been hit in the chest. I had to explain, red-faced, that those were from before him, from another guy, from a time I thought Jessica was safe to confide in. He nodded slowly, said he believed me, but the damage was there, a hairline crack, and Jessica was the hammer. Nora came over that weekend. She found me on the couch, clutching my phone like a lifeline. She read Jessica's latest message, "You'll be sorry when no one believes you anymore," and muttered, "She's circling. She wants a show." Right on cue, we heard a crash outside. My stomach dropped. I opened the blinds to see my car. 2 tires slashed, the windshield smeared with lipstick in huge, jagged letters. Crawl. Nora grabbed her phone, ready to call the cops, but I stopped her. I don't even know why. Fear? Shame? Some old, stupid loyalty to the girl who once held my hair back after tequila? I just sat there, trembling, whispering, "What if she gets worse if I make it official?" Nora stared at me like I'd grown another head. "Maya, she's already worse." That night, I couldn't sleep. Every shadow looked like Jessica on my balcony. Every car engine sounded like her pulling up. I finally passed out at 4 a.m. and woke to 23 missed calls. All from her. And the voicemail she left? Her voice was raw, cracked, sobbing. "Don't do this to me. I'll die without you. You don't get to abandon me. You'll crawl back. You always do." But here's what Jessica didn't understand. Every unhinged act wasn't pulling me back. It was pushing me to the edge of something I'd never done before, fighting fire with fire. Don't forget to subscribe. 2 days after the windshield incident, I thought maybe Jessica had burned herself out. My car was in the shop, Liam was insisting I file a police report, and I was trying to focus on normalcy, work, groceries, laundry. I even laughed once at a dumb video Nora sent me. It felt like air returning to my lungs. Then she showed up at my job. I work in marketing for a mid-sized firm. Not glamorous, but steady. We were in the middle of a client presentation when the receptionist buzzed my line. Maya, there's someone demanding to see you. Says it's an emergency." I already knew. Jessica marched into the lobby like she owned the building. Eyeliner smeared, hair perfect. She was carrying a framed photo of me and Liam from Instagram, except she'd slashed an X through his face with something red. Marker, I hoped. She screamed, full volume, echoing off the glass walls, about how I'd betrayed her, how I'd stolen her only stability, how Liam was controlling me. My coworkers froze, half shocked, half pretending to check their phones. Clients stood there blinking. Security dragged her out, but not before she spat at me, literally spat, and hissed, "Everyone will see what you really are." HR pulled me aside. My boss, awkward and pale, asked if I needed resources. I nodded like a robot. But inside, mortification. Jessica had just detonated my reputation in the one place I was supposed to be untouchable. That night, Liam came over with takeout, trying to soften the wreckage. But as we were unpacking containers, his phone lit up again. Jessica. This time with photos. Me drunk on a rooftop years ago, mascara streaked, bottle in hand. Captioned, This is who you're dating. Don't say I didn't warn you. Liam shoved the phone toward me, jaw tight. Why is she still in our lives? I snapped. Not at him, but from exhaustion, from the constant chokehold of Jessica's presence. Because I let her stay too long. Because I thought I owed her loyalty. Because she knows every weakness I've ever had and she's weaponizing all of them. He pulled me in, kissed the top of my head, and said the one thing that anchored me. Then it's time to take that power back. But Jessica wasn't done. 2 nights later, Nora called past midnight, panicked. She's here. At my sister's apartment, Jessica had banged on Nora's door for 15 minutes straight, screaming that she was harboring a traitor. She'd left notes under the windshield wipers of every car in Nora's lot. Ask your neighbor who Maya really is. Nora, fiery as always, had threatened to mace her. Jessica laughed and filmed the whole thing on her phone, narrating it like a TikTok expose. And that's when it clicked. She wasn't just lashing out, she was curating her rage, staging it for an audience. The girl who once begged me to hold her secrets was now building a circus out of mine. And if she wanted a show, I was done playing stagehand. The night everything broke open started like any other. Me and Liam cooking pasta, trying to pretend normalcy was still possible. We'd just sat down when a thunderous bang rattled my front door. Liam jumped up, already on edge from weeks of Jessica's harassment. "Stay here," he muttered. Of course I didn't. When he opened the door, Jessica shoved her way inside, wild-eyed, clutching a shoebox. Eric trailed behind her, pale, whispering, "Jess, please, stop," like he was dragging a live grenade. She slammed the box on my table, pasta plates clattering. "This," she hissed, yanking off the lid, "is everything she never told you." Inside, printed screenshots of old texts, photos of me at my lowest, college nights drunk and crying, half-dressed selfies I'd sent her years ago when I thought we were inseparable, private, raw, things that were never meant for daylight. My stomach dropped. Liam's face hardened. Jessica turned to him, triumphant. "You think you know Maya? She's pathetic. She's broken. She's nothing without me. And you," her finger jabbed his chest, "you're just the next idiot to believe her act." Liam's voice was low, dangerous. "Get out." She laughed, sharp and manic. "You'll crawl back. You always do." When Liam reached for the box, she shoved it off the table. Papers and photos scattered across the floor like confetti. Eric tried to grab her arm, but she twisted free and stormed toward my bookshelf. Before I could move, she yanked down a framed photo of me and Nora as kids and smashed it against the wall. Glass everywhere, I snapped. My voice came out raw, shaking. "Jessica, this ends now. You're sick. Stay out of my life." Her face crumpled, then hardened. She picked up a shard of glass, held it like a threat, and whispered, "If you erase me, I'll erase you." Eric finally wrestled it from her hand, dragging her toward the door as she screamed, thrashing, knocking over my lamp on the way out. The bulb exploded in sparks. Silence after they were gone felt unreal. My breathing ragged, Liam's hand still trembling on my shoulder. My apartment looked like a crime scene. Nora showed up within an hour. She stepped over the broken frame, surveyed the chaos, and said flatly, "She's not going to stop. You can wait until she ruins you, or you can ruin her first." For the first time, I didn't flinch at the idea, because Jessica wasn't wrong about the crawling. Someone was about to crawl back, but it wasn't going to be me. Don't forget to subscribe. Update. Wow, I didn't expect so many people to actually read my post, let alone leave me hundreds of comments, DMs, and even a few, "Maya, please get a restraining order before she murders you," messages. Y'all don't play. First, thank you. Seriously. I've spent so long gaslit by Jessica into thinking I was the fragile, clingy one that seeing strangers say, "This girl is unhinged," felt like someone cracked open a window in a suffocating room. Some of your comments made me laugh for the first time in weeks. Shout out to the guy who said, "Jessica sounds like if a raccoon got a credit card and an Instagram account." Accurate. A few of you told me to burn her life down. Tempting, but I like my freedom. Others said call the cops immediately. Here's the thing, I did. After the shoebox stunt and the broken frame, Liam drove me straight to the station. I filed a harassment report, showed them the vandalized car photos, even handed over Jessica's voicemails. They listened, nodded, gave me the standard, "We'll keep it on record." Translation: nothing until she physically stabs me. Comforting. Eric, her husband, remember, texted me the next morning. Long, rambling apology. "She's not well. She needs help. Please don't press charges, she's under so much stress." Stress doesn't explain showing up at my office with a shoebox of my half-naked selfies. Stress doesn't slash tires. Stress doesn't carve crawl across someone's windshield like a horror movie promo. I didn't answer him, but it planted a seed. Because if Eric is begging, it means he's cracking too. He's her soft spot. And I've known Jessica long enough to know she hates nothing more than being embarrassed through her relationships. Which brings me to the part everyone here kept hammering me about. Maya, stop being the punching bag and take control. You're right. Jessica thinks I'll crawl back to her like always. But what she doesn't realize is that every unhinged stunt she's pulled has given me ammo. She left fingerprints all over my life and I know exactly where to push. So, yeah, I'm done playing defense. The next time Jessica decides to make me the villain in her circus, I'll be the one holding the spotlight. I spent the next few days in a haze of adrenaline and fury. My apartment still looked like a war zone. The shoebox of secrets sat in a trash bag by the door. I couldn't bring myself to throw it out yet. Part of me hated that those pictures still existed. Another part whispered, evidence. Jessica's silence should have been a relief. Instead, it felt like the pause before a storm. Liam kept checking the locks. Nora texted every night. You planning or hiding? Finally, I snapped back, planning. And I was. Because Jessica's power had always been her stage. She controlled the narrative. She told people who I was, who Liam was, even who she was, until reality bent around her story. So if she wanted an audience, I'd give her one. Step 1 was Eric. I knew he was her weakest link, the one person she couldn't fully control. So I called him. Maya, I'm sorry, he started immediately, voice wrecked. She's not herself. I'll cover the damages, Eric, I cut in. Do you even know what she's been doing? Do you know she slashed my tires? That she showed up at my job with half-naked pictures of me? Silence. Then a hollow whisper. She told me you were overreacting. I laughed, sharp. Come see for yourself. So he did. Eric came over that night, Liam sitting stiffly on the couch as I laid everything out. The lipstick on my windshield, the shoebox, the shattered frame, the voicemails. I even played the one where she sobbed, "You'll crawl back. You always do." Eric's face crumpled. He whispered, "She said she was just defending herself." From what? My happiness? I snapped. Eric, she's spiraling, and you're cleaning up the mess while she drags us all down with her. He put his head in his hands. And that's when the idea solidified. Because Jessica thrived in shadows. She thrived on twisting stories before anyone else could speak. But if I could show her chaos, unfiltered, undeniable, on her own turf, she couldn't spin it. Not this time. Step 2 was bait. Nora helped with this part, gleefully. We set up a small get-together at her place. Nothing huge, just a few mutual acquaintances, some wine, music. But word was accidentally left open where Jessica could see it. A public Instagram story, a tagged post Nora made with me laughing in her kitchen. Predictably, Jessica showed. Predictably, she didn't walk in calm. She stormed through Nora's door like a hurricane, hair wild, eyes blazing, screaming, "You think you can erase me? You think you can replace me with her?" She pointed at Liam, who'd come along, then at Nora. "You're all snakes!" Everyone froze. Phones came out. One guy whispered, "Oh my God, is she serious?" Jessica ranted, knocking over a wine glass, shoving a chair. She pulled her phone out mid-scream and started live-streaming herself. "Look at this betrayal. Look how they treat me." And that's when I struck. I pulled out the shoebox she'd dumped in my apartment. I held it up to her camera. This? This is what you call friendship? You stole my private photos. You vandalized my car. You stalked me and my family. You want everyone to see? Let's show them. Gasps, murmurs. Phones pointed both ways now. Jessica froze, eyes darting as the audience she thought she controlled started whispering, recording, seeing the cracks. Eric had followed her in. He stepped forward, pale as death. Jess, it's true. I saw it all. Her face shattered. She lunged at him, clawing for the box, shrieking, "Traitor!" But people pulled her back, phone still rolling. For the first time, Jessica didn't look like a queen holding court. She looked like exactly what she was. Unhinged, cornered, exposed. And I stood there, steady, heart pounding, but voice calm. You said I'd crawl back. But look at you, Jessica. You're the one crawling now. The videos hit social media within hours. I didn't even have to post anything. Half the room at Nora's had their phones out, and within minutes, clips of Jessica shrieking and lunging for the shoebox were circulating. Someone captioned it, "Local woman tries to cancel her ex-friend, cancels herself instead." It spread fast. Friends, co-workers, even strangers tagging me with comments like, "Maya, is this the Jessica?" Yes. Yes, it was. Jessica went nuclear. Her Instagram blew up with 3 a.m. rants about how I was abusive and stole her identity. She claimed Liam was brainwashing me, that Nora was sheltering a fugitive. It was laughable, except she tagged my job, my clients, even my boss. HR called me in again. This time, though, I had leverage. I handed them the same footage everyone else had seen. Jessica screaming, live streaming, destroying property. My boss sighed, rubbed his temples, and said, "Keep documenting. We'll back you." That was new, backing me instead of treating me like the problem. Meanwhile, Eric snapped. He showed up at my apartment alone, eyes sunken, voice flat. She hasn't slept. She's drinking all day, calling strangers in the middle of the night. Maya, she's unraveling. I can't keep covering. I should have felt pity. Instead, I felt something sharper, relief. She told me you'd crawl back, I said quietly. He laughed bitterly. She's the one on her knees begging me not to leave, begging you not to expose her more, and the truth is, he hesitated, then spat it out. I don't love her anymore. I'm just afraid. Afraid. That's what Jessica did to people. She made them orbit her fear. Nora's response was simpler. Then stop orbiting. The next night, Jessica struck again, this time outside Liam's apartment. She stood under his window at 1 a.m., blasting music from her phone, screaming that he was stealing me. When he called the cops, she threw a wine bottle at their feet and collapsed, sobbing, "She was supposed to be mine." They hauled her off. Not jail, just a 24-hour psychiatric hold. But the message was clear. Jessica wasn't in control anymore. The next morning, Eric texted me 2 words. I'm done. He moved out that week, packed what little was his and left Jessica in their apartment, alone with her broken mirrors and her online rants. And me? For the first time in years, I felt steady. I'd turned her chaos into her undoing. She wasn't the puppeteer anymore. She was the show, and not in the way she wanted. But here's the twist. Revenge doesn't end neatly. When someone like Jessica loses control, they don't just fade out. They flail. They claw. They try to drag everyone down with them. And she wasn't finished with me yet. Update 2. So, remember when I said I was done playing defense? Yeah, about that. Jessica completely imploded, like nuclear-level meltdown. The videos from Nora's place didn't just make the rounds with our mutuals. They went viral. Not millions viral, but enough that random strangers started DMing me like, "Holy crap, I know this girl. She was a nightmare coworker in 2018. Apparently, I wasn't the only one with scars. Some of you in the comments said she'd turn the narrative into a sympathy tour. Nailed it. She went on Instagram Live 3 nights in a row, crying about betrayal, painting herself as the victim of my campaign of abuse. Except the chat was full of people dropping links to the party video, clown emojis, and one guy typing, Girl, log off and hydrate. Eric left her. Yup. Packed a bag and messaged me. I can't anymore. A lot of you told me to stay away from him, and don't worry, I am. He's not my problem. But watching him break free, it felt symbolic, like her empire of control finally cracked. The police? Well, they've been to her apartment twice this week. Once for disturbing the peace. She was apparently screaming my name at 2 a.m. while throwing dishes off her balcony. And once because she tried to show up at Liam's work with a handwritten petition to save me from his mind control. Security escorted her out before she even got past the front desk. Liam texted me a photo of it. Honestly, looked like something a middle schooler would write in detention. And me? I'm exhausted, relieved, but also wired, like my body hasn't caught up to the fact that I'm not in immediate danger. I keep thinking of all your comments, half of you saying girl run, and half of you saying girl destroy. Here's the thing. I think I already destroyed her. Not by doing anything illegal or cruel, just by flipping her spotlight around. For years, Jessica thrived on controlling the story. I made her the story, and she couldn't survive it. But don't mistake this for a happy bow tie ending. She's still out there, flailing, screaming, trying to crawl back into relevance. And I know her well enough to know, people like Jessica don't stop until they burn themselves to ash. I just don't plan on being anywhere near the fire this time. So yeah, you'll crawl back. You always do. That's what she said. But the truth? She's the one crawling now. Crawling through the ruins she made, while I finally walk away. The quiet lasted 3 days, long enough for me to almost believe it was over. Then came the pounding. It was a Saturday night. Liam and I curled up on the couch with takeout. The knock rattled my entire doorframe, followed by a voice I'd once recognized instantly, shrill, broken, desperate. Maya, open up, we need to talk. Jessica. I froze. Liam moved faster, bolting upright, grabbing his phone. But before he could dial, the pounding turned into kicking. Hard, furious thuds that shook the hinges. You think you can humiliate me, she screamed, words slurring like she'd been drinking. You think you can make me the crazy one? I could hear neighbors opening doors down the hall, whispering, recording. Liam barked through the door. Jessica, leave now. The cops are coming. Her reply was a howl. Then glass shattered. My peephole went dark. She'd smashed it. My chest seized. I could picture her face pressed against the door, teeth bared. I grabbed the shoebox, still packed with her chaos, and clutched it like a weapon. Not to hit her with, but as proof. Receipts. The symbol of everything she'd done. Sirens wailed before she could break through. The building's security had already called it in. When the cops dragged her back, barefoot and screaming, she thrashed like a wild animal. Her voice cracked as she shrieked, Maya, you'll crawl back. You need me. You need me. I stood frozen, heart slamming against my ribs, watching as they cuffed her right there in the hallway. The girl who once had me convinced I couldn't breathe without her was now barefoot, mascara streaked, begging like a child who lost her toy. Nora arrived minutes later, hair a mess, fury blazing in her eyes. She wrapped me in a hug so tight I could barely breathe. It's done, she whispered. She can't come back from this. But even as Jessica disappeared into the flashing red and blue lights, her words echoed in my skull. You'll crawl back. You need me. And for the first time, I didn't just feel anger or fear. I felt pity. Because underneath all her violence and chaos, Jessica wasn't powerful. She was empty. A void that fed on attention until it starved. I didn't need her anymore. But she'd never stop needing me. The building was quiet again. Too quiet, after weeks of Jessica's chaos bleeding into every corner of my life. Liam fixed the door, replacing the shattered peephole. Nora texted me hourly memes, half jokes about exorcisms for toxic friends. Eric? He disappeared, no forwarding address. The last I heard, he'd gone back to Ohio, closer to his family. And Jessica. Jessica was gone too. After her arrest, she was put on a psychiatric hold, then released into outpatient treatment. Her socials went dark. No more midnight rants, no more live streams, No more lipstick-scrawled threats. Just silence. I should have felt relief. I did, in flashes. But what I felt more was the weight of 10 years. 10 years of secrets, confessions, late-night rescues, loyalty I mistook for love. 10 years of letting her convince me I was weak, fragile, dependent. She used to look me dead in the eye after every fight and whisper, "You'll crawl back. You always do." And for so long, she was right. I always crawled. Not because I loved her, but because I thought I needed her. Because she made me believe I couldn't survive alone. But here's the truth I finally understand. Jessica was never my anchor. She was the chain. And breaking it wasn't weakness. It was freedom. Last week, I walked past our old rooftop spot, the one where we used to drink warm wine from paper cups and promise we'd be unstoppable. I half expected her to be there, waiting with that feral grin. She wasn't. Just an empty skyline, cold wind, the faint echo of laughter that wasn't mine anymore. I stood there a long time until it hit me. I wasn't crawling back. I was standing tall. And if anyone was crawling, it was Jessica, scrabbling for attention, for Eric, for me, for anyone to fill the void, crawling through the wreckage of her own making while I finally walked away. So no, Jessica, I won't crawl back. But you will. And you already have.